Hey, and welcome to Morning Stars Homeschool. As you can see, I've got a couple packages here to open. We just received all our curriculum for the 2023-2024 school year. But today I'm going to give you an inside look into the new Science for Little Hearts and Hands unit called Wind and Waves. Welcome to Morning Stars Homeschool. Let's keep homeschool weird. All right, let's get started. So first of all, if you've ever bought any curriculum from The Good and the Beautiful, their packaging is always really nice and sturdy. I never have to worry about things getting damaged and bent in here. So, all right, so this looks like the Wind and Waves parent guide. And if you're familiar with the previous unit, the binding was spiral bound. So that's different right away. And then here is the Big Book of Science Stories. And this looks pretty much exactly the same as the previous unit. To get started, we're going to check out the parent guide first. In the table of contents, you're going to see that there's 30 lessons in this unit. Some of the subjects in the unit are clouds, wind, water cycle, bodies of water, animals of the midnight zone, sharks, dolphins, lightning and thunder, rainbows, floods. Before I started using The Good and the Beautiful, one of my biggest things was like, what is the doctrine? Is there a specific doctrine? And what I love about this is their answer is no. The goal of our curriculum is not to teach doctrines specific to any particular Christian denomination, but to teach general principles such as honesty, hard work, and kindness. Here's a quick example of how gently God is woven in through the text. For example, in Lesson 8, it says, rainbows are beautiful signs that God loves us, but how are they made? This is geared for kids anywhere from 2 to like 2nd grade. So among the most common questions is like, how long is this going to take? So I love that they put here, have the child do as much work each day as the child's attention span will allow. You do not need to complete one lesson a day. And that's kind of the cool thing about Good and the Beautiful is like, it's very grab and go. There's not a lot of prep. And they're so short that it's fantastic for kids' attention spans. But sometimes, like, if you see those cues of frustration, like, it's just time to let it go and we can revisit it another day. And quick note before we go to the activity supply page, I really appreciate how Good and the Beautiful always has diverse illustrations showing all different types of kids. Just chef's kiss, love that. This curriculum is very grab and go. You don't necessarily need to read ahead of time or plan ahead of time, but what I really love about this is for those mamas out there that like to plan like me, they have an entire activity supply list in the front where you can see clear ahead of time what supplies are going to be needed for each lesson. And they have it organized by lesson. There is also a small supplies needed box at the top corner that tells you everything that you need for that particular lesson as well. So here in this little corner, it says supplies needed for the optional activity, mind you, paper bowl, glow in the dark, acrylic paint, paintbrush, scissors, etc. In every lesson, you're going to see an opening, and that's the part where you read to the child word for word. And then in some instances, you'll be directed to a read aloud in the Big Book of Science Stories. And then after that, you can either do the optional activity, and then there's some discussion questions in the back that have to do with that lesson, which really gets the kids thinking and talking and diving deeper into the topic. Not every lesson is going to be correlated with a Big Book of Science story, but that's perfectly fine in my eyes because even though it's not a standard textbook, it's beautiful and it's learning by reading aloud, which is amazing. They can tend to be a little bit long, so my children are a little bit wiggly, so when there's a lesson that doesn't have a story, it's kind of nice. What I really like about the Big Book of Science Stories is, though, they have a ton of fun facts that is really inviting, just beautifully illustrated, and it's really fun to read even as an adult. So this is the story that correlated with the previous lesson you just saw, the animals of the midnight zone. And as you can see, it's not like a textbook. It is like a picture book. It's reading aloud a story that has to do with the lesson, and usually God is somehow intertwined, and there's no specific doctrine, but you'll see a lot of times like, and God made the dolphin or something along those lines, which is really nice. I know if I were a child and my curriculum was this beautiful and inviting and lovely, it would make me want to work hard because I'm like that and my kids are like that. And, if something is beautiful, you're more drawn to it, So I just really appreciate how Good and the Beautiful really designed their curriculum. What's new that I'm really excited about is these audio narration ponds. So as you can see here, in some of the lessons, it will instruct you to listen to the audio narration. And once you purchase the curriculum, you'll be able to have access to the audio narrations either on their website or in the Good and the Beautiful homeschool app. So it looks like these are perforated, so you are just going to pop those out, and it looks like you can kind of put them together, which is super cute. Looks like there's one for a few of the lessons. This is the water cycle lesson 4, and it looks like those little bells with the numbers on it represent kind of your cue to use the audio narration ponds across the page. This is so perfect, especially for my boys who are very visual and kinesthetic learners. I love that Good and the Beautiful always has something very interactive and physical for them to do. And quick note, if your household is anything like mine, I know these little ponds are going to get lost in a heartbeat. So I think right here, I'm going to tape maybe a plastic bag or something and put all the little narration pieces in there because it's inevitable. And without further ado, here is a quick flip through of the entire parent guide for the Wind and Waves unit. Now I'll be showing you a quick flip through of the Big Book of Science Stories. Okay, I'm really excited to start this unit with my kids this year. I love all the new updates like the lay flat binding and the audio narration ponds. It's going to be so fun. And if you'd like to check out this curriculum for your little ones, I'll leave a link in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to be friends on Instagram, you can find me at Morning Stars Homeschool. Stay rad, my friends, and let's keep homeschool weird.